Welcome to the 151st broadcast of the T-Row Show. It's your host, Keith. I got John with me.
Good morning, folks.
All right. What we're going to be doing here is this. This might run a little long today. I know that I went off on the state of Texas last week. Probably called a so-called deputy sheriff a village retard approximately 60 times, if not more. And this week you're going to find out exactly why. Because I don't think we've really gone into a case that's going on there in Texas. But first, we got to show you the larger picture as to what's going on that reaches all the way to the deep state, to what Trump is actually, I guess, looks like he's doing. I'm still on the and I'm still on the wall or the fence on that one. I don't know really what's going on as far as intents are concerned. Okay, but that's either neither here nor there. But let's get started here on the beginning as to what you're going to be looking at. And it goes and falls in line with what's going on in the Graham case and what's going on basically all over the country as to what's this southern border thing really about, what's really going on in Texas, what's going on all over the country, okay, and what this whole fight's about. So this is the National Gun Network. So Mexico is a failed state, and we should be prepared for that. You probably caught a news blurb last week, and that the Mexican military was defeated in a gun battle with the Sinaloa cartel. I'm probably going to mispronounce these names, so just please ignore that. The story quickly dropped out of the headlines because gun battles in Mexico are too damaging to the official narrative about how we need a wall on our southern border, or we don't need a wall on our southern border. Okay, so most Americans' news outlets have not accurately reported on what happened in Culiacan, in the capital city of Mexico State, in Sinaloa. The casualty counts were much higher than anyone reported here in America. The results were far more horrifying than anything you've heard from the mainstream press. And this was published 2 days ago. If you missed the brief news blurb, here's what it stated. Mexican authorities arrested El Chapo Guzman's son. And I remember seeing that around. I remember seeing what was going on there. El Chapo Jr. is the leader of that cartel now that El Chapo Sr. is behind bars in America. The cartel responded with full force. The Mexican military was outgunned, and after a battle that lasted for several hours, the military surrendered. The authorities released El Chapo Jr. Okay, that's the narrative preserving version of what happened. But thanks to journalists in Mexico who must use pseudonyms and publish their reports anonymously on American blogs, we now know what really happened. The Mexican military was not just outgunned by the cartel. They were embarrassingly outgunned. It was like a kid showing up for a schoolyard fight, only to discover, hold on one second, that his opponent has a fully functional Iron Man suit. The cartel fighters were in full tactical gear with fully automatic military weaponry and explosives. I wonder where they got that. Military industrial complex, possibly? The cartel didn't show up like a bunch of Islamic dorks from Mali with heavy machine guns bolted to the beds of rusted out Toyota pickup trucks. They had custom-made, state-of-the-art armored vehicles like no one in Mexico had seen before. The Mexican military Fire Serpent FX-05 battle rifles with a 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO round were unable to penetrate the armored vehicles. Think about it, NATO rounds. Okay? So NATO is doing what? They're funding the Mexican military. Who's funding the cartel military? Military industrial complex. Unlike the Mexican military, which is pretty much a joke if you haven't figured it out by now, the cartel's soldiers were highly trained and highly motivated. Even though the Mexican soldiers were outgunned and demoralized from the beginning, at least they tried to put up a fight. During the protracted gun battle, this gets worse, by the way, folks. Just listen to you. The president of Mexico received a phone call from the cartel. After that phone call, the Mexican president immediately called his military commanders and ordered them to surrender. Now, why would he do that? As the Mexican soldiers were laying down their arms, they were subjected to a final humiliating ritual in which they were forced to shake hands with the cartel victors. That's when the real horror of the situation surfaced. While the Mexican troops were battling the cartel had sent kill squads to the soldiers' homes. During that fateful phone call, the cartel informed Mexico's president that they had just slaughtered the wives and children of many of the soldiers and police officers who had dared to raise arms against the cartel. Elijah Cummings' funeral. All the people there. Unless Mexican military immediately surrendered and released El Chapo Jr., the kill squads would move on to the second set of addresses on their lists. That's why he surrendered so quickly. Let's not kid ourselves anymore. Mexico is a failed state that is rapidly transitioning into a narco state. So, who's been running drugs across the southern border for all of the years, John? For many, 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 many years.
I would say at D.C.
That'd be CIA.
The CIA, D.C., and the deep state.
Right.
Yep.
And we're talking about people you're seeing right now sitting in office. We're talking about senators, congressmen. You see why they're all trying to, turn against Trump right now? They're all turning. It's because each and every one of them are involved in this crap. They've been involved in it for years. The Clinton cartel, the whole thing. Now you know who's backing Clinton. Okay, that's who's backing Clinton. That's why they're so afraid of her. That's why, okay, so if you think that Mexican violence could never spill into America, you should probably read a history book about some of the previous times when Mexico's government has failed. A good starting point would be in the Battle of Columbus, New Mexico, 1916. Pancho Villa's rebel army crossed the U.S. border and attacked the town of Columbus, killing 10 unarmed civilians and 8 U.S. cavalry soldiers. Among the dead civilians were a pregnant American woman and her unborn child. Not coincidentally, this was around the first time that American voters started demanding the federal government build a wall on our southern border. Now you know all the people that are against a wall. Now you know why. They're all a part of the cartel, the drug cartels. Now you understand why the movie stars are all upset. That's why they're calling people that are calling for a wall traitors. You're messing up our freaking cocaine deal, man. Our drug deals. You're messing it up. They don't like that. All the movie stars involved in this. Okay, is not some backwater, because Culiacan is not some backwater Mexican village that no one wears shoes. It's sophisticated, modern capital city. But the local police and that nation's military were no match for the cartel. Your local sheriff's department probably wouldn't fare much better if the cartel rolled into town, would they? No, not with this. A guy that can barely lift his foot up over his hip. It can go no more than 10 feet off the ground or 10 inches off the ground. Okay. No, he's not going to do very well. I'd also note that thanks to Mexico's strident policies against personal gun ownership, none of the families of the military members were able to fight back when the cartel kill squads kicked down their front doors. Now you know why Beto's after your guns. Beto's where? I believe he's in Texas, isn't he?
I'm not sure where he's from, Keith.
But I think he's in. I've seen him down there. Whether he was campaigning or I don't know. But, kind of tells you something, right? It says, we have terrible politicians in America who hate their own constituents. That's true. So they're not thinking of any of the implications of Mexico becoming a failed state. But we as American citizens and gun owners, by the way, you're not American citizens, but it's neither here nor there. And gun owners should be thinking about it and preparing. There you go. Okay? So what you're dealing with, folks, is a major problem that we've got down there that was created by the U.S., the bankers and all of them. CIA that took down uh, the towers, the whole deal. Okay, that's coming out of the CIA's mouth. So you don't, I'm not just throwing stuff out there. So can you imagine drug cartels? And this is the idiot that you put in charge, and we're dealing with what? We're spending all our time, all right? Spending all our time worried about child support, worried about this kind of crap, warrants, and all this other kind of stuff. You've got, it's more important to hear a case about chemically castrating a little boy because the mother, by the way, is not the mother. She's not even the biological mother of the twins, the twin kids down in Texas that we've been talking about for a while in T-Row. The twin children, the two boys, and the mother says that the other one's a girl. Well, not even the biological mother of that boy, trying to turn that boy into a girl. So we got some sick stuff going on. So you've got two law firms. So the law firms are worried about castrating boys, making them girls, and all this. Meanwhile, you have got the most highly equipped military that can take out families and everything else in Mexico, right across the border. They go, well, we got the military, we got the U.S. military. No, I wouldn't rely on that too much. Okay, wouldn't rely on that too much because guess what? They're involved in it. They know the CIA has been doing it, so who you think's been involved in it? They've been involved in poppy fields in freaking Afghanistan for it's Afghanistan for a long time. They're involved in that. They're for it. Drugs and money and stuff like that. They're not against that. That's how they survive. And that's how they get funded. Drug sales. Military's been involved in that for years. That's what Afghanistan's all about. It's the poppy fields, heroin. Okay, so don't think that you're gonna get anywhere with them, or that they're gonna come to your defense. It's not gonna happen. That's why they're trying to get your guns. That's why Beto's trying to get your guns. Democrats are trying to get your guns and get rid of the borders. That's all deep military crap, industrial complex. Let's drug up a freaking country and destroy it. It's a suicide mission. So why are we after this guy so much? I mean, this village retard here. Why are we after him so much? Okay. The reason why is because he is violating the law in about 1,000 different ways. Okay. And they do it and they don't care. And I don't like demons. I don't like evil Satanists. They're trying to portray like they're good guys. Okay. That case right there, that cop or village retard was beating on the door of a guy named Graham Lasik. That was Graham behind the door. And Graham has a son. And he hasn't been paying child support. Just giving you a little background. The reason why he hasn't been paying child support is because the mother won't let him see him. That's typical, right? Won't let him see him. Even though he has visitation rights. She just won't do it. So what's this all about? So his son starts texting him. That's what it's all about. Dad, come get me. I can't live with her any longer. Okay, here are the texts. Dad, please pick me up at 2 tomorrow. Let me show you this. I don't want to live another day with my mom. Dad, 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 dad. It goes on and on and on. Okay. And we've got all the text back and forth. Dad night. He says, I just saw this. It says we can talk when we can call. So in order to stay or talk to his son, he had to hide. Can you imagine that? A father can't even talk to his son because he has to hide the fact that he's contacting his son or he's talking to his son from the mother when he does have visitation rights. Can you imagine that, John? Imagine how that feels and how humiliating that is.
No, visitation rights she's denying him access to.
Yeah, access and the whole thing. Can you imagine that? Just sitting there.
Yep.
And now he did something that I personally probably thought I would have done something a little different. Okay. In other words, there's been no investigation in any way as to why this woman's son did not want to live with his mom. But back in my day, when, and we're talking about back in the 70s, when you became a certain age, you could choose who you wanted to live with, whether it was your mother and father. When you became 12, 13, 14 years old. Usually you're with your mother, okay? But when you became older, you could go live with your dad or whatever and all that kind of deal. That was normal. But she was withholding this. So we've written her a letter basically saying, look, we can't help it's your crappy mother. We don't have any then she started saying that I was involved or that Graham was involved with some bad people. Bad people. So it didn't make, she didn't have the right to call the American National Union bad people. But, she's got they're bad people if they don't agree with her. That's basically what you're dealing with. If you don't agree with them, you're bad. If you do agree with them, you're good. That's the way they work. That's how they operate. Okay, so we basically told her. So this goes on and on and on, this conversation with them. Okay, we can keep going and going. We've got all the texts, everything. And we also have a videotape, which I'm going to show you. And this is Graham's son. I'm going to make sure that you guys are hearing this. I don't think I had the sound on.
No, you didn't have sound first.
Okay, got it. All right, here we go.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Sounds good.
So, this is how the story went that I was trying to tell you earlier on the phone. I started texting and calling my dad on the 25th. And he picked me up at 3:30. Oh. We started texting and texting, and I walked out my front door. And I was walking on the side of the road, and he saw me. He stopped, and he picked me up around 3:35. But yeah, that's why I'm with my dad.
Okay. Nothing wrong. He's there voluntarily. See, he hasn't been able to see his dad because of the mother. So apparently the boy has no issues with going to see his father. He wasn't kidnapped. Nothing of that nature. So can't really figure out what the big hoopla is about. So what we're dealing with then is basically this is what you get after this happens. A father wanting to see his son. We get a war chant for you. Okay, we got this guy. Okay, the dream of the country here. The poster child for police officers. I'm not even going to play the sound. Open the door. I can't take the sound. He pisses me off every time I even see him. Okay? The reason why is because this guy's a Satan worshiper. And he believes he's above the law. And he works for deep state. Okay? Have you ever noticed something, folks? None of them ever use warrants. They haven't done it for 30 years. I'll get back to the child, okay, being the chemically castrated in a little while. But none of these guys use warrants anymore. They don't have them in their hand. Okay, a warrant has to be signed, has to be sealed. The place where it was done has to have some evidence involved. Has to have an affidavit, something done, a sworn testimony. Okay, before an arrest warrant can be done or be implemented and enforced. Okay, Mr. Drug Cartel here didn't have that. He didn't have to. Why? Because nobody's going to force him to. Lawyers aren't going to force him to do it. The lawyers are the ones that are running the whole state. They're the ones making all the laws, right? So they can control everything. They can keep the drugs flowing. They control the laws. It's only when a drug cartel member gets in. Okay, it's only when a drug cartel member gets arrested that all of a sudden Constitution matters. All of a sudden you need a warrant, and if you didn't get a warrant, all of a sudden he's let go. Case dismissed. Didn't have probable cause. All of a sudden, all those things matter. Okay, but they only matter when you have money. When you got a lot of money, and you can bring a lot of voters in the drug, since the drug cartels and the Democrats work together against NATO, you can bring a lot of voters over the border. Why do you think Pelosi is worth $190 million? Not only does the stock market help her out, but the drug cartels help her out, just like all the rest of them. That's all deep state guys. Who do you think Schiff works for? Who do you think all these people work for? They're not working for you. They don't give a shit about you. Could care less about you. The only reason why they show even half or any a minute percentage of respect for you is because you have guns. If you didn't have guns, you guys, your lives would be freaking miserable. You'd have drug cartels up and down the streets because that's who they are. So they have history of it, so I'm not going to sit and argue whether what I'm saying is right or wrong, because Afghanistan has poppy fields, and it deals with heroin. It's been running for years, all the way up to the Queen of England. That's how the Windsors got their freaking money. That's how she bought 6 million acres, or however 640 million acres, or however much she's got. It's been running that way through the. That's how the city of London has survived for 2,000 years. Drugs and Hinduism and acceptance and and all these other kinds of things. It's all the same thing, folks. Okay, so this is nothing new when dealing with Mexico. And this is Obama. So how Obama's been doing things. Barry Soetoro has been doing drugs for years. He got involved with the Clintons. Mena, Arkansas, been running cocaine for years through the Bush cartel. The Bush drug cartel. That's what they are. The Clinton drug cartel. They're all drug cartels. They're just posing, man. You have the same people in office since the early 70s, and you haven't figured that out yet? The same people over and over, just switching freaking seats for 40 years? And you haven't woken up yet. And people are sitting there looking at, Clinton. We want to make her president, all this other stuff. Yeah, sure. You want your guns gone? Cartels after your ass? Drugs all in the streets and crap? Go for it. They don't care anymore. They're Moloch worshipers. Devil worshipers. Drug dealers always have been. That's the whole name of the game. So on top of that, when you see guys like this, okay, guess what the drug cartels do in Texas, okay? This is what they do. They turn around and they start charging LASIK, Graham, the record will reflect, this is their thing here, okay? And by the way, this judge, he knows Graham. He knows him since he was a kid, and they don't get along. And he's also asked him to recuse himself from the case, and the little punk won't do it. Okay, he would rather, because why? Because he's under drug money. You guys get it now? State of Texas, it's a drug cartel. The whole thing is set up and riddled with it. They're all devil worshippers. If there are any Christians down there, they're a little messed up in the head because they don't understand what's going on in their own state. Okay? This is why I got thrown out of a certain county, because I knew what was going on. And I knew little Hillary was involved. I knew what was going on. Not stupid. He was trying to be real nice to him. Okay, when you got a judge trying to be real nice, I apologize. I know I'll mispronounce your name. They don't respect you. Okay, drug cartel folks don't respect anybody else because they look at them as being stupid, because they're committing crimes right in front of you and you don't see it. Okay, so they don't respect you. They don't respect good people. They look at you as animals or stupid and retarded. That's just how they are, because they feel guilty about what they're doing. They feel guilty because they're destroying people's lives. Is it Mr. LASIK? Is that correct? Well, what the hell you care, right? Drug dealer. Mr. LASIK, if you would step forward, I'll basically share some information with you about the case. It makes some come up to this table right here and grab a seat. Defendant, I'd prefer to stand. Oh, just have a seat. Have a seat. Okay, I make the attorneys all take a seat also. Like you're not an attorney, Mr. Judge. Liar, man. Just completely freaking lying to the guy. I make all the attorneys. What do you think you are? Liar. The record will reflect that you have been charged in this case by indictment with a 3rd-degree felony offense of assault public servant. That's the village retard that was beaten on his door without a warrant. Okay? That indictment was filed in this case May 16, 2009. There was no indictment because there was no jury, because drug cartels skip that. Okay? Plus, they don't use warrants. Valid warrants are signed by judges because they're not actual government. They're drug cartels. American Bar Association is a drug cartel, always has been. Trying to wake people up. If you haven't been served a copy of that indictment, you'll be within the near future. The indictment again charges you with a 3rd-degree felony. He says it again. Okay? And our law provides that the range of punishment for an individual convicted of a 3rd-degree felony shall be confinement in Correctional Institution Division of State of Texas. Okay, so they've already decided he's guilty, right?
You sound like it.
When they go right to the sentence, they always say that means you're guilty. That's what we've already found you guilty.
Yep.
And this is what, assault of a guy? Did you see any assault on the video? I didn't see any assault. And the guy couldn't pick his okay, if the guy wasn't bruised, because he could have easily done it, all you got to do is just blow on the guy and he had to, blow over. He couldn't lift his foot up more than 10 inches off the ground to get the I'm going to get the, that was a joke. And now all of a sudden, because he didn't have a warrant on him, in order to protect his dumb, retarded ass from somebody who was actually trying to follow the law, and he is liable for breaking the law, you've got to go ahead and go after the guy who busted him, which was Graham, busted him for not having a warrant. So, how does that work, folks? Are you starting to see the picture now? You have the drug cartel that's coming after you, and if it gets out there that they didn't have a warrant or not actually following the law, they come after you and blame you, and then throw you in jail. And that's how it works. The Satan worshipers and drug cartel down in the law firms down there that are going over and trying to chemically castrate a 5 or 6-year-old boy. Watch the T-Row show. We've got all the information on there. We did blast them with it. Okay. Hopefully we're getting it through to you as to what's going on in the courtrooms. The drug cartels took your courtrooms a long time ago. That's why your constitutions don't work. State constitutions don't work. You know what we did one time? When Graham first got in there, we put in there, it says, look, in your constitution, it says that you have to have a social compact agreement. So the head of the drug cartel down in Texas, AG, Attorney General, comes in and says, ignores it completely and moves on with, oh, this is over a boy, his son. Now, granted, there's not really even any evidence that that is Graham's son, by the way. There's been no DNA test, no drug test, no blood test or anything like that. So we don't even know if it's, because if the ex-girlfriend or wife or whatever she wants to call herself, if she is who we think she is, basically, or what we've been hearing reports about her, it's very possible that that boy's not his son. But the boy thinks he's his son. Okay, so we don't, if he's wanting to be somebody's dad, and that boy's dad, then fine. Then whatever the relationship they have, we're not going to try to break that up. That's a good thing. At least the boy's got a father figure or a father. Okay, so the point being is this is what happens when you have a drug cartel running your country. The guilty are protected, just like they did in New York when the Proud Boys were put in jail for 4 years and the Antifa boys were let go when the Antifa boys were the ones that attacked the Proud Boys. A judge confines them, the Proud Boys, in jail for 4 years when they were defending themselves. You see how that works? Why? Because the judge is a part of the drug cartel. This is what they've been trying to warn everybody about over and over and over. Schiff, drug cartel. Okay, Pelosi, drug cartel. Clinton's, drug cartel. There's proof of that, by the way. Go watch Clinton Chronicles. We saw that back in the 90s. We've known about those people for a long time. They're still not in jail. Why? Because you have the drug cartels running the courts. The drug cartels are running the freaking prisons. They're running the bar association. They're running all of it. The whole thing from start to finish. Who do you think took the freaking towers down? Wake up, people. Wake the hell up. Notice they didn't call the guy a police officer or a deputy sheriff. They called him a public servant. Third-degree felony offensive assault, public servant. Then we went and sued the Texas legislature. So they came out the other day with another document, putting the case into the hands of a private law firm to represent the state of Texas. At least that's how we saw it. But, that's what drug cartels do. Now, do you feel safe, folks? You got a guy there that can't lift his foot over 10 inches, and you think he's going to protect you from somebody on the southern border? If that drug cartel wanted to come in, they absolutely could. But I can tell you right now, they're already here. They're already here. And you see them every day. Every single day. They call it the deep state. They're the drug cartel. They're the U.S. drug cartel. They're just not called El Chapo. They're called a bunch of other things. But that's what they do. That's why this, if you questioned the intelligence community one bit, they got 6 ways of Sunday to get you back. That's drug cartel speak. Y'all get that, folks? That's how drug cartels speak. That's how violent mafia speaks. That's how all of them are. You come after us, we're going to get you. That's what's in Texas. And that's what's trying to castrate a 5 or 6 year old boy. Not Graham's son. Graham's son, I don't know actually what's happened to him. There's been no investigation as to why he wanted to leave his mother. That was, beside the point. Why? Because her father is rich and he's involved with the drug cartels. Called the lawyers, law firms. They all protect the drug cartels. They make the laws to protect drug cartels and to go after the honest people and the innocent people and the good people that have arms. They make the laws to go after them. That's why would, if 2 towers were attacked by somebody from Saudi Arabia, why would you go after the people in your country and go with a Patriot Act, which was abated, by the way, by this government? And why would you do that and then turn around and use it against the very people that you say that you're protecting? Why? Because it's drug cartels. That's how they operate. They're just very good. They're very good actors. What do you think the New World Order is? It's a conglomeration of drug cartels around the world. There's a lot of money in it. There's a lot of money in drugs, man. We're talking about millions, billions, trillions of dollars. That's why you can't keep good agents. Because when agents go in there and they bust one of them and they have a gun in their hand that's made of solid or made of gold, that's kind of hard to, it's like, damn, man, there's a pile of freaking money sitting there. And this guy's got debt up the wazoo with, college and all that. And, he's making this minuscule freaking amount of money. And he's looking at this pile of cash and there's, 10 million sitting there. And there's looking at this thug going, man, this piece of crap has got more money than I do. And I'm an honest guy. Well, that's because you have the drug cartel running the DEA. And they make sure that those agents get paid a whole lot less and they're less funded so that the drug cartels win. That's how it works. Any fight they get into. The war on drugs was nothing more than the war on those who were against drugs. Well, the government of the United States of America actually passed a law that stated that all drugs are legal. You do that, all of a sudden this whole issue is over. You don't have to hide anything. That's been well proven. There's 80,000 police officers that were involved in the drug war that said that prohibition of drugs is not a good idea. It causes crime, it causes wars, it causes this, causes that. If you can go to the store and buy a joint, you're good to go. If you can go to the store and buy a thing of Coke, you're good to go. But not that many people are going to do it. Because when it's easily accessible, it's now the mystery is over. Okay, so you have to understand how all this works, how lawyers operate, how the Bar Association operates. They say, we're the privileged class of people. We've shown that in the past. It was a clip on 60 Minutes. We're a privileged class of people. No, you're just a bunch of drug dealers. That's all you are. I had one guy who was telling me, I used to hang wallpaper and paint and stuff like that. And I was in a Bob Evans restaurant and I was doing the foyer. I was redoing the foyer. And he came out and he was washing dishes. He was a dishwasher. And he had a real nice jacket on. And I said, hey man, so watch out. I said, don't get any on you because that's a nice jacket. I don't want you to get anything on you. Any paint. And he said, because the paint's wet. He goes, he says, I can afford 20 of these, man. I said, what do you mean? He goes, shit, I run drugs for him down there on the west side. I said, what? He just came right out with it. I didn't say a word. I was just hanging paper and painting. Wasn't even interested. My mind was on completely something else. Something completely different. He says, I get that all the time. He goes, man, he says, this is my cover job. He says, this money here is just chump change compared to what I make. I said, no kidding. He goes, hell yeah. He says, every judge and lawyer is involved in it. I said, really? He goes, yeah. I didn't say anything. I said, well, just wanted to let you know, wasn't real interested in it. And just wanted to let you know that, don't want to get any paint on your jacket. That's all I said. I've told some people about it. First time I'm talking about it on the T-Row show. The only reason why I'm doing that is to wake everybody up. Wake up. Okay? You see a black cloud coming over the country? That's because you're dealing drug dealers. Got drug dealers everywhere. Devil worshippers. Satan worshippers. That's why Christianity is going down the tubes. Is because most of those people are getting caught up in drugs. The country's infested with it. It's like having bed bugs everywhere. The whole country's infested. And if this gets me shot or killed, okay, it's fine. At least I said it and I witnessed against it. I don't care. It's like, no, I don't agree with that. And we're doing our best to try to, to deal with this. But it's hard to deal with drug dealers, man, especially in courtrooms. They don't follow the rules. Whenever they get cornered by the rules, they change them. That's how they operate. Because in their mind, if people, they say, oh, the people like winners. So they have to cheat. They don't even follow their own rules to win. When you outsmart them, because they're not too hard to outsmart, by the way, they cheat. They usually use force to do it. So basically what they've been doing is this, and we're going to probably end it here. What they've been doing to Graham for the past 5 months is torturing him to get a confession out of him. The other day, I think it was Friday. No, it was last Wednesday. A judge put him on a cold slab. They weren't going to do court, but they were. Weren't going to do a court trial, but I don't know what happened. But they put him on, he was basically hogtied, had chains and everything else all over him because he's such a dangerous guy. But they got to show everybody that he is, because that's a show. That's what drug cartels do. And they put him on a cold slab and basically froze him for about 3 hours. Then the judge says, well, we're not going to have court today. And Graham looked at him. He knows the guy from when he was a kid, okay? But he hasn't recused himself. Graham looked at him and says, you are evil, man. You are simply evil. And why? Because his childhood friend is involved in drug dealing. That's why. We all know it. When you're doing evil stuff like that, when you're dealing with Satanism, you're involved in drugs, man. This is the way it works. It all goes hand in hand. Everything. Satanism, all that crap, same thing. Okay? So and this happens all the time. If you don't confess, they keep your ass in jail. They force a confession out of you, whether you were right or wrong, or whether you even did it. They'll just keep you in there until you confess. It gives the appearance of, see, we were right. No, you weren't right. You just forced a confession out of a guy. It's illegal as hell, but you don't care because you're just waiting for your next hit. Now, whether that hit is money from the drugs or the drugs themselves, that's your business. But either way, all you're really concerned about is getting that next hit and then having sex with the girls and all the nice looking women. They're attracted to that kind of thing. Because, sex, drugs, money, all that goes hand in hand. Then when that doesn't work for you, what do? Those girls get younger and younger and younger. And this is the path that old Billy Clinton went down. William. He went and got a 14-year-old girl hooked on frickin' coke, made a prostitute out of her, and turned into be a stripper. Raped her and shit for 2 years. That's what happens. It's normal stuff in that drug world. It doesn't end. It goes on and on and on. Got old Hillary so messed up, she's over there believing Moloch is telling her the truth. When she's hearing those voices in her head, they're telling her the truth. That's what she thinks. He's doing his work. So I wouldn't, in my own personal opinion, I wouldn't believe one thing that comes out of those courtrooms. At least not right now. Depending on, no, not really even depending. I wouldn't believe one thing out of it. Because basically a lot of these charges are trumped up. Some stuff, this crap didn't even happen. They're going after innocent people that have guns because they're trying to get those guns taken away from them. To keep the drug cartels alive and protecting each other. So, you want to know what the reciprocity, or I'm sorry, what the social compact is in this country, folks? Not ours. We've got a decent one, okay? But the rest of them, it's drug dealing. That's their social compact. If you show any disloyalty to the drug cartels, then you, folks, have violated their social contract and they will murder you. Okay? If you don't believe us, got one more thing. Make sure the children are out of the room. Okay, folks, this is going to get graphic. I'm not saying that you haven't seen these before. You may have seen them before, but I've just got a set of pictures here that let you know. This stuff just comes around, some of it on the internet in different areas. So you'll just have to, look away if it makes you queasy. Folks, this is what the drug cartels use right here. These are M16s, all that kind of stuff. Wonder where they get those. Or AR-15s. Wonder where they got those. And you were saying, John, you wonder why the deep state protects who?
Why the deep state protects Antifa when the United Arab Emirates down there declare an international terrorist organization.
Yeah, I think they declared the CARE, which was the Muslims, foreign or American Muslim
Yep.
Relations or whatever the hell it is. But CARE is actually the ones promoting Antifa. So you're right. And indirectly, you're correct. But this starts getting nasty, folks, because this is what's going on down in Mexico. It is a failed state, by the way. And I don't really have a whole lot of confidence in Texas that they're going to be able to protect it. They're going to be able to protect Texas. They, first of all, don't have the spiritual covering because every one of them are dirty and involved in this, okay? It just keeps going. That guy got pissed somebody off. Gee, I wonder where that gun came from. Can you say Democratic Party? Look at that. Now, the interesting part about this is this guy is freaking, he's dead, okay? These guys are eating like nothing's happening. The big family picture. This guy has got Coke in there. She's eating. He's got drinks. And they're all just talking like nothing's going on. There's a dead dude sitting there on the street. This would freak out anybody in America, right? They go, oh my God, that's horrible, blah, blah, blah. They freak out over this. This is normal for these guys. This looks like everybody's, sister or mother, or looks like somebody's grandfather, but there's a dude just sitting there dead. Just waiting for the cops to come get him. And here's this woman right here. Looks like she just came back from some kind of, party, whatever. And there's the food. No problem. Yep, that's inner city America, by the way. There was one guy that we had a video of. He basically told everybody that they went to sleep one night, woke up, there was a crate of the guns and stuff like that sitting in the freaking alleys. and that was up in Chicago. And look at all that. See, when you got these guys right here, they get paid very little, and they've got a couple million, sitting here. I don't know whether this is coke or marijuana. I don't know which, but kind of pisses them off, if you know what I mean.
That's coke here because marijuana looks like a bale of hay.
And there's, this kind of stuff. They tie them up and they shoot them. There you go. They shoot a bunch of people. Oh, this was a good. Everybody was having a picnic. Apparently, they just put them in these white chairs and just shot them all right there. And there's some people there, just looking at them. And one of them's got a message on him because there's a knife in him. They stuck a knife in him after they shot him and killed him, and said, "Don't screw with whoever." Oh, there you go. Like to strip the boys and killed a whole family there. And this is their military, and this, these guys don't get paid a lot. So why not join the cartels, right? That's just what happens. This guy really pissed somebody off. Bad. There's, your basic neighborhood. A lot of guns, guys. And where do you think these guns are coming from? Military industrial complex. Where do you think that's coming from, folks? Come on, think. It's how they make their money. Gun manufacturers up here is how they make their money. They're supplying all this stuff. Money talks. All you got to do is get a hold of one of those senators over there. And by the way, they're all losing faith in Washington and trying to clean this up. I think they're all giving up by now, or getting close. They're all losing faith in that they can actually get it cleaned up. So
on these government buybacks, turn your guns in without any questions. Gun confiscate. What do you think they're going to do with all those guns?
They're going to go to the cartels. This is the most sad part right here. This was somebody's baby. That really, I've seen these pictures and I see a lot of stuff that triggers me there. I don't like that. This is a poor baby, man. This guy's family, just sitting there, his baby sitting there next to him. I mean, at least they all died together, which is good in a way, There's not going to be any grief, but holy crap. If you'll sit there and shoot a baby in the back, what kind of, you're not even human, man. You're a demon. You're below, you're not human if you'll do this shit. It's unbelievable what they do. And that's basically it, I mean, we can go on and on, but I think everybody gets the point as to what your life and future is going to be if you give up your guns and if you don't wake up and get these drug cartels out of your courts. Get them out of there. Where do you think the money's going over traffic cases? Where do you think all that's going? Laundering drug money. Hello? The lawyers changed the laws, or they don't enforce the laws, let's put it that way, that turned all your vehicles into commercial vehicles, and they use that to get laundered, to launder drug money. That's how they operate. That's how they are. Okay? So you got to get that and understand it and realize that there are a whole lot more of you than there are of them right now. But in the near future, there won't be. Because people will get in there and they'll get tempted. And they'll see how easy that is, and that's some easy money. And but yet you're killing off families and tearing them apart and all this other stuff. Where do you think the middle class is gone? It's not gone because of taxation. It's not gone because of policies. It's gone because they're all involved in drugs, OxyContin, or whatever the hell it is. They got. There was one time there were one or two deaths or overdoses every 2 to 4 hours in the country, or in this one city. Overdoses and stuff like that. Who do you think runs those pharmaceutical companies? The drug cartels. So, folks, all we're trying to do is get you to wake up and understand what's really going on. We've got evidence upon evidence of the state of Texas doing this. Okay. They're ignoring the law left and right, all this kind of stuff, but they don't care because they got drug cartels behind them. They don't care, and they're part of it. If they get too tired of it, they just go out and knock you, shoot you in the head. No big deal. Solve that problem. Label it in the media. What do you think runs the media outlets? Who do you think runs all them? Drug cartels run them. They're protecting Antifa, drug cartel. They're protecting Democrats that have been running drugs and freaking murdering people for years. Politicians, the drug cartels protect them. How do they protect them? Right through the CIA, intelligence communities, all of that. It's all there. All the evidence is there. It's sitting right in front of you. They're trying to tell you. Wake up. You got a problem. Okay, and soon the drug cartels will lose patience, and they will come door to door. You think a sheriff's union is going to say, well, we're not going to do Beto's this and that? I doubt it, because when it comes down to it, you guys are going to fold just like everybody else is folding. And you will be going door to door. When they got your family at gunpoint, you'll be going door to door. They'll go right to your family, and they'll put the gun to their head and said, if you don't do this door to door, we're going to shoot your family right here in front of you. That's how they work. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to go door to door and start grabbing guns. So don't sit there and showboat and say, oh, we're not going to do that. We're Americans. We believe in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and blah, 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 blah. We know what's going on. We know why you got the jails there. We know you're getting free labor here, free labor there, blah, 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 blah. You're using what they would normally get paid to run launder drug money, all kinds of stuff, guys. Come on. Really? So quit lying. It's over. Just stop lying. It's over. And you won't know what you would do because you see how they operate. And if you don't stand up against that with the rest of the people and with the government of the United States of America, this government here, and all the people, the good people that are here, that are trying to do the right thing, you're going to lose your soul, bro. Yeah, I called you bro. You're going to lose your soul. And what I'm talking about is burnt up. Called eternal torment. You got to let this go. You got to come clean with the people, man. You got to tell them what's going on. Start being honest with them and say, I can't do it. I've been threatened. My family's threatened. Everything's done. I'll do anything for my son or my daughter. They got guns on them. Otherwise, when they're quiet, these little punks, when these little punks work and these little lawyer punks do their thing, it's quiet, and they hide all their little tortures and torments and stuff like that to get you to confess so they can get you. See, we were right. Because why? They're communist freaking drug cartels, drug dealers. That's all they are. That's all communism always has been. If you don't believe me that communism is bullshit, all you got to do is this. Ask yourself one thing, and I'm going to get going after this. Ask yourself one thing. If in communism everything belongs to the state, why would a billionaire involve himself in communism? He'd no longer be a billionaire, right? If communism was in place. The state would own everything he has. So the ones at the top in communism all believe in private ownership, private property ownership. For the rest of you, no. What is that? Oh, that's called a theft ring going on. To steal everybody's stuff, to get them to believe in communism, so they voluntarily give up their stuff, and it goes to where? It goes to the state? No, it goes to the guys at the top that believe in ownership. That's all it is. It's real simple. And nothing more you can say about it. So, folks, we've laid it out there, laid it on the line. There's more to it as far as what they're doing, why stuff doesn't work, why they don't ever have warrants, why they don't have any of this stuff. It's just nothing but drug cartels running everything. If I'm gone by next week or next month, I wish you luck. In other words, if I get shot or killed, I wish you luck. But, it is what it is. I guess if John, I don't know about John, but if it happens to me, because I figured once this happens, oh, we're going to be freaking the biggest threats on the planet. We're going to be, what, John? Oh, terrorists, man. We're going to be all kinds of stuff. As if we took the towers down ourselves.
You'll know I'm a terrorist because I'm going to be shooting back.
So if we're gone by next week, good luck, folks. That's all I can tell you. Love you. Did everything we could to stand up for this and did everything we could to get this done. So if anything ever happens to me, though, the office, it's already been ceded to the new occupant of the office, and all that's already finished. So it is what it is. Probably the best thing to do is let Graham go and suck it up, because you guys are it's just going to get worse and worse for you. Spiritually, it's going to get worse and worse for you. So, can't help that. It is what it is. So, thanks for listening to the 151st broadcast of the T-Row Show. We'll see you next week.